In a time of great hardship, when famine gripped the land, the poor woodcutter and his wife lived in a small cottage at the edge of a dark, sprawling forest. With every passing day, the food grew scarcer, and their two children, Hansel and Gretel, felt the sharp pangs of hunger. One evening, as the children lay in their beds, too hungry to sleep, they overheard their parents whispering. Their stepmother, desperate and cold-hearted, convinced their father that there was only one way to survive. They had to take the children deep into the forest and leave them there. The woodcutter's heart ached, but with a heavy sigh, he agreed. The very thought filled the small cottage with a chilling despair, a darkness deeper than the woods outside. But young Hansel was not asleep. He had heard every dreadful word. Seeing his sister Gretel weeping silently, he whispered to her, "Don't be afraid, little sister. I have a plan. We will find our way back." When the house was quiet and the moon shone brightly through the window, Hansel crept outside. The moonlight made the small white pebbles in the front yard glisten like silver coins. He filled his pockets with as many as he could carry, his small act of defiance a beacon of hope against the coming dawn. He knew that these simple stones would be their lifeline, their secret map home. The next morning, just as the sun began to pierce through the trees, the family set off into the forest. The stepmother gave each child a small piece of bread, their last meal. As they walked deeper and deeper into the thick woods, Hansel, walking behind the others, would stop every few steps to drop a single, shiny pebble on the path. When they reached the darkest part of the forest, their father built a small fire and told them to wait while he and their mother gathered more wood. But they never returned. As night fell, Gretel began to cry, but Hansel took her hand. "Wait until the moon rises," he said, "and we will see the path I have made." And sure enough, the moonbeams lit up the white pebbles, showing them the way. They followed the glittering trail all the way back to their cottage door. Their father was overjoyed to see them, his guilt having gnawed at him. But the stepmother was furious. It wasn't long before the hunger returned, worse than before, and she declared they would try again. This time, she locked the door at night so Hansel couldn't collect any pebbles. All he had was the piece of bread given to him the next morning. As they were led even deeper into the woods, Hansel crumbled his bread into tiny pieces, dropping them along the path. But alas, the forest was full of hungry birds, who saw the crumbs and swooped down, eating every last one. When Hansel and Gretel were left alone this time, the path was gone. They were truly lost, wandering for 3 days with nothing but a few wild berries to eat. Just as they were about to give up all hope, a beautiful white bird appeared, singing a magical song. They followed it, and it led them to a clearing. There, in the middle of the clearing, stood the most wonderful house they had ever seen. It was made of gingerbread, with a roof of cake, windows of clear sugar, and a fence of candy canes. Starving, the children ran to it. Hansel broke off a piece of the roof, and Gretel licked one of the sugary windows. "Nibble, nibble, like a mouse, who is nibbling at my house?" A sweet voice called from within. A very old woman with a kind smile emerged. She invited them inside, promising them a warm bed and a feast of pancakes and apples. But as soon as they were inside, her kind face twisted into a wicked grin. She was a witch, and her house was a trap to lure children. She grabbed Hansel and locked him in a small cage, planning to fatten him up and eat him. She forced Gretel to be her servant, making her cook endless meals for her brother while she herself ate very little. Every day, the witch, whose eyes were dim, would tell Hansel to stick his finger out of the cage to feel if he was plump enough. But clever Hansel found a small bone and held that out instead. The witch, confused as to why he remained so thin, grew impatient. One day, she decided she would wait no longer and ordered Gretel to prepare the large oven. "We will bake bread today," she cackled. But Gretel knew she meant to bake Hansel. The witch told Gretel to climb into the oven to see if it was hot enough. But Gretel, remembering her brother's cleverness, pretended not to understand. "How do I get in?" she asked innocently. "I'm not sure how." Impatient and annoyed, the witch grumbled. "Silly goose. The opening is big enough. Look, even I can fit." And as the witch leaned forward to show her, Gretel gave her a mighty shove, sending her tumbling into the fiery oven. Gretel quickly slammed the heavy iron door shut and bolted it. The witch's wicked plans came to a fiery end, and the children were finally free. Gretel rushed to unlock Hansel's cage, and they hugged each other, overjoyed. With the witch gone, they explored her strange house. To their amazement, they found chests and boxes filled to the brim with pearls, jewels, and gold coins. This was a treasure far beyond their wildest dreams. "This is better than pebbles," said Hansel, as they filled their pockets and baskets with the riches. They knew they had to get home. As they left the candy house behind, they came to a large stretch of water. The same white bird that had led them to the witch's house appeared again, and a friendly duck swam over to carry them across the water one by one. The forest on the other side seemed familiar, and soon they recognized the path leading to their home. They ran the last stretch, bursting through the door of their cottage. They found their father sitting alone, his face edged with sorrow. He had not had a single happy moment since he had left them in the woods, and their stepmother had since passed away. When he saw his children, he wept with joy and relief, pulling them into a tight embrace. Hansel and Gretel poured the treasures onto the floor, and the family's worries about hunger vanished forever. They had found their way through the darkest of woods and the most wicked of traps, returning not just with riches, but with a bond that could never be broken. From that day forward, the woodcutter, Hansel, and Gretel lived together in perfect happiness. Their story reminds us that even when things seem their darkest, courage, cleverness, and the love of family can light the way home. It shows that even the smallest and most vulnerable can triumph over great evil. Thank you for joining us for this classic tale. If you enjoyed our story, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more fairy tale adventures. We'll see you next time.